This is the KTM 1390 Super Duke R. Yes, you heard that right, 1390. It's a lot of bike and it's aptly named the Beast. Now, let me just talk to you a little bit about the motorcycle, give you a bit of an overview before we get into the bulk of the review. Before you all get too excited as well, you'll see that I am in a tracksuit, but no, this is not a regular tracksuit. This is the brand new Knox Shield tracksuit, hoodie, and jogging bottoms. Unbelievable. It's actually a single layer material, AAA rated performance, so it totally matches the kind of speeds that we're going to be doing on this amazing bike. Now, it might look overall quite like the 1290 Super Duke R, but actually they reckon it's over 60% new, this motorcycle. I'm going to talk you through some of those changes. Now, the first one is the clues in the name, basically. This is a 1390 now, so it's the same kind of overall engine structure, the size of it, and every time I see one of these I do think, what a whackingly massive motor is in this bike, and it definitely gives you that impression that this is a big, powerful brute of a motorcycle. But the big story is that they've actually put camshaft technology into it. So you might have heard that from some BMW motorcycles. Well, KTM have come out with their own kind of version of that, which does something very similar. So that's going to give more lower down torque and a higher top end as well. Now, actually in the briefing video they talked about when they first put it in, it was really quite wild. So they've done a huge amount to the fuel in this motorcycle to make it smooth. We've got bigger radiators, we've got bigger air intakes, we've got a bigger air box, we've actually got a bigger fuel tank. It's 17.5 litres now. This motorcycle, they're saying, is 200 kilos ready to race, but that means with no fuel. So we will weigh it as well with a full tank of fuel. So how can it be ready to ride with no fuel in it? So I don't really know what's going on with that one. But the other big thing is we've got revised electronics now. And just like all KTMs have got now, fantastic braking systems and Bosch ABS system to go with it as well. So we've got Supermoto ABS, so you can turn the rear ABS off and do skids and apply the front brake much harder, get some rear wheel lift going on. We'll be trying some of that. But further than that, actually for this latest one, they've put in a brand new master cylinder. So you've got this Brembo master cylinder, which is really nice, but now it's adjustable in the braking ratios as well. So you can change it from a 19 through to a 21 ratio, giving you an adjustable braking feel. It's kind of more of a race bike kind of adjustment that you would have. I think the brakes are going to be fantastic. Also connected to the electronic suspension is a fantastic new device, kind of lifted from MotoGP, which is a factory start. Basically, I'm going to apply something within the dash, and as I go to launch it, combined with the launch control, it's going to drop the rear and make your launch stronger. So whether or not, you know, average Joe Blogs is going to be doing that, I don't know, but it's certainly a really interesting feature and we're definitely going to try it out. A couple of extra things, it's now got wings. I can't believe it. And I don't think they're going to make any difference whatsoever in terms of this bike wanting to wheelie, but we shall find out. And the other thing is they've put new tyres on it as stock. These are the Michelin Power GPs. We know from previous tests that Michelins are, generally speaking, lighter than other tyres, and I think their claim is that they've dropped about 1.5 kilos just from changing the tyres over. But Michelin's got a lovely feel, great grip in warm and also in wet conditions as well, so really good overall tyre. So now's the time to flip my lid on, put my gloves on and take this bad boy onto the airfield and probably scare myself silly. Expressed by the badge on the tank, it's been 30 years of Duke, and the 1390 is the wildest Super Duke yet. With more power and a better spec than ever before. This might be a new generation, but make no mistake, this is a Super Duke R.
How you feeling?
Oh, totally honest, I feel a bit sick. I don't think I've ridden a motorbike before that's made me feel sick like that. So we thought, I'm gonna have a break, potentially throw up, and hopefully in 5 or 10 minutes time we'll be ready to go again.
Good.
First, let's tackle the thing that dominates the experience the most, the engine. Excessive is the first word that comes to mind. More than is necessary, normal, desirable, immoderate. The level of power on tap belies the modest 10 horsepower gain over the previous model. Maybe it's the capacity increase, or the camshaft technology, or a combination of the two, but there seems to be a step change in power. The 1390 has wild and obnoxious grunt everywhere. It's so savage. You'd swear you're aboard something jet propelled. The drive in the higher gears has me convinced that KTM have dialed things down in the lower gears just to make it rideable. On the road, the massive excess of power means that no matter what gear you're in or what speed you're going, there is always a massive excess of power and grunt. It's an amazing and quite a unique feeling. It's also impressively efficient, returning an incredible 150 miles to its 17.5 litre tank after a hard ride. Do the same on a Street Fighter V4 and I'd be struggling for 80 miles. It's a really big difference. It's also very smooth, fueled beautifully, and very nice to ride at normal speeds, although it definitely lacks a bit of sound. Its bark is way tamer than its bite. But what is the benefit of all that power? Ironically, Pirelli's strapline seems to sum it up perfectly. Go full throttle on the new Super Duke R, and the new level of power starts to ask questions that the stock setup cannot answer. For me, the bike is lacking the stability required to ride with confidence at full gas. I had multiple occasions that the bars gave me a really good slap at high speed and under hard acceleration. It sent me a warning signal to back off, and back off I did. It's a horrible sensation. This was felt on the road and on the airfield, hitting cat eyes or bumps at speed and under an open throttle. Maybe it would be different on a perfectly flat piece of tarmac or a European racetrack, and I definitely wouldn't go as far to say it's unstable, but it did stop me exploring the full capability of the bike, which was a real shame. When you've ridden a well set up and stable bike, going full gas isn't a problem. KTM have injected a serious upgrade to the power, but for me there is not enough control. The stock steering damper has almost no resistance in it, and I'd wager that a WP Pro shock and a proper steering damper would fix the issue. Comparatively, I didn't have any such problems on the Street Fighter V4S, which is a much more stable and confidence-inspiring bike to go full gas on. Another interesting experience was when we opted to use the factory start and the launch control with our acceleration tests. With factory start opted, I struggled to see or feel any difference in the ride height, and the launch control didn't feel quite right. Awkwardly wheeling and then cutting power with so much torque on offer. In future, I'd probably opt to go manual and then just short shift through the first ratios. Maybe there's a couple of criticisms here, but I am just trying to be honest. So we just rocked up again. I mean, this might be the new Super Duke R 1390, but you know, they have some gremlins, and like we've had some problems with the launch, we had some problems with the traction control just turning itself off. Now we've got this sign that's come up saying the electronic damping system has stopped working. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe we just need to turn it off and leave it for 10 minutes and then turn it back on again. Hopefully it'll work, just like the traction control issue. But man, you know, it's still a KTM. Despite some gremlins, the electronic package on the Super Duke R makes a huge step forward and puts it very much at the sharp end. The two biggest steps are in the wheelie control and the engine brake adjustment. Now there's a very sophisticated wheelie control, meaning that you can leave it turned on unlike the previous model. Simply select the level of intervention depending on how much wheelie you want, from very low to very high. The very high setting won't allow a full balance point wheelie, but it will get you as high as most people will want to go. In fact, I didn't turn it off for the whole test. Unlike all wheelie control systems, there is a bit of an artificial feel where sometimes it interferes, but it is among the best out there now, including Yamaha's market-leading lift control. In fact, the feeling is very similar to an MT10 in Lift 1. Then the engine brake control, again a massive step forward. For me, bikes coming out of KTM have been a bit free on the engine brake side, a feeling more akin to a two-stroke. Personally, I don't like it. The good news is that now you can adjust it to your liking, and I felt like the bike handled much better with more engine brake, and it is easier to get out of trouble mid-corner if it tightens up on you or there is an unseen hazard that just comes up. Which leads us onto the handling. There hasn't been much of an update in terms of the handling of the Super Duke. This is a good thing as it's generally fantastic. It goes where you want it to, it's agile, it's predictable, and you have a good feeling of what's going on. Being the EVO version, this Super Duke is fitted with WP's electronic suspension, with an array of settings between comfort, street, and track. It even has fork anti-dive. I found all the settings were fairly sporty and just so, as it's not the kind of bike that you want to be wallowing around. I understand electronic suspension and the £1,600 premium on an adventure bike with long travel suspension, where the parameters permit off-road capability in one setting and then track-like ability in another, all on the fly and with the flick of a button. But a Supernaked is always a Supernaked, and they kind of just do what they do. And while I get fork anti-dive on a softer sprung super adventure bike with 200mm of fork travel to reduce weight transfer, I don't get it on a much stiffer sprung Super Duke with half the fork travel. In this case, surely you just want a well set up fork where in the braking phase the fork is designed to progressively drive the tyre into the tarmac for maximum traction. So for me, I'd save the extra being charged for the EVO and use the difference towards a proper WP Pro shock and a proper WP steering damper. By doing so, the setup would be better in every way in comparison to the EVO and would surely solve the stability issues I mentioned earlier. Despite its raucous speed capability, perhaps the Super Duke's finest attribute is in the way it stops. With its upgraded and adjustable Brembo master cylinder, KTM has put the cherry on top of what was already a brilliant setup. Feel, power, modulation, it's sensational. And while I didn't take it on track, it feels just like my race bike setup, which is incredible considering it's a stock setup that incorporates ABS. While the bike is claimed to be over 60% new, what hasn't changed is the fantastic ergonomics. For me, the bike just feels right. Yes, it's big, but the riding position is brilliant, and it strikes a perfect balance between all-day comfort and sporty. It is Supernaked perfection. Weight-wise, the Super Duke weighs in at 210 kilos with a full tank of fuel, which seems just about right. Price-wise, the EVO costs £19,599. Consider it closer to £21,000 by the time you've added the all-important tech pack on. It's a lot of money, but then again, it's a lot of bike. It's fair to say the looks polarised the motorcycle fraternity on its launch, and they did me too. But it's growing on me, and I'd go as far to say I actually do quite like it now. Being the flagship model, the finishing is far more premium than the lower end Duke models, and it definitely gives you the impression that you're riding a high quality motorcycle. In the end, the Super Duke R is aptly named the beast. Wild, snarling, untamed, a dangerous animal. The 1390 undeniably fits that bill. I just wish that it came with a better set of reins so that I could ride it properly.
So, 1390 Super Duke R. I've had a few days to think about it now, and I just wanted to give you guys my final summary of what I think about this motorcycle.
My God, this engine just dominates the entire experience. It's just the thrust. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it best.
Wow, it delivers. This is the epitome of a Supernaked in that regard, because it's just so much power, it's so much excess, and it's just a lot of bike. And you feel that from the minute you swing your leg over it to when you open the throttle until you turn the thing off again, look back at it and go, whoa, that was a big experience. But in all, the 1390 Super Duke R is the epitome of Supernaked. It's super, it's excessive, it's powerful, it's like, wow, it is a beast. And for that, it's got my absolute respect. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, comment and subscribe to the Knox YouTube channel. Check out all of the gear that we've been using to protect ourselves on test, and we shall see you on the next video.